hello, everyone, and welcome to the Amplify Your Legacy podcast. I'm your host, Sallana Brown, and today is a special episode. We're going to leave you feeling energized and ready to step into your power. I am here with the incredible Sreelatha Meleth. She's with me today, and she's a transformational coach. She's an author with a passion helping women break free from old stories that's holding them back. And through her platform, Freeing Ourselves, she's helping women reconnect with their true selves and create lives that they always dreamed of. We'll discuss meditation and emotional freedom techniques, and even to building six-figure businesses and rewriting the narratives that no longer serve us. So I want to welcome you, Sri, and thanks for being here.
Sallana, thank you so much for having me on and also being willing to do this at such short notice. I do
Oh,
want to apologize to all of you because there is an unexpected leak in my house. And if you can hear the saw going, that's what the sound is. Hopefully, our voices transcend the worker's noise. So,
we'll make sure it does.
yeah.
So tell
Yeah,
us a little bit about your background and what led you to do the work that you do today.
My background, I was born in India. I grew up. I got a bachelor's in mathematics and physics from the University of Bombay. But in the middle of that, in when I was 19, I lost my mother to a plane crash.
Oh,
That
I'm so sorry
on
to hear that.
December 31st, 77. So it's almost 50 years now. But that was my first introduction to how unexpected life can be, right? That one minute she's
Certainly.
here, next minute she's not there. And that's essentially what put me on the path of spiritual growth and asking questions, because the only time we get answers is if we actually have some questions to ask. And what that incident led me to was a serious questioning of what does life mean? How is there a God? Why did this happen to me? And all of those questions that led me since then to now, to kind of unravel the mysteries of life, right? And to figure out how you can get to a place where you are centered, where you are able to be in a space of quietness and stillness, regardless of the storm going on around you. And it took a long time. So I was in a place, I was young, I didn't know whether, really sorry if you can hear that sound. I didn't know
It's
whether
okay.
I believed in God or not. And I remember standing one day on a footpath in Bombay and thinking, I'm so sick of this back and forth about does he exist, does he not exist. I'm just going to live as if he does.
I love
And
that.
I always say that, for me, Krishna was just waiting for me to say that. And since then, he has held me in his hands and led me to where I am today. And that is, that included, it's not that it was all smooth sailing. I got married in a couple of years' time. I got married in 1980. This month, we are celebrating 45 years
Oh,
of,
congratulations.
of marriage. And we moved across three continents. We went from India to the Middle East to England to the Canada to the United States. So we've moved a lot. We've moved, I think, my count now is about 40 times in 45 years. Uh,
Wow.
but but it there were challenges all along. There was the young me who always had a dream of doing something big in the world. There was no doubt in my mind that I was meant to do something big, but the way the sort of path that life took me through meant that kept getting postponed, but that truth never left me.
Okay.
So I kept doing things. So I got uh, trying to find ways in which I can help and in which I can become both financially independent and a person who is available to help other people. So it started off with learning, becoming certified in teaching English as a foreign language, and then becoming an adult education teacher, and then getting my master's in public health and epidemiology, and then getting a PhD in applied statistics, which ended up with me working in health research.
I see.
And,
Wow.
and even when I got my PhD, my idea was that there is quantitative science and qualitative science, and you shouldn't, or we shouldn't be in research. Those shouldn't be separate silos. I don't even know if I'm answering your question correctly. I'm just giving you some of my background.
Yes,
But
that's exactly what I need.
so,
Just tell me about you.
so then when I joined, I wanted to be able to bring those two together. That's not where my PhD went. It became very, very quantitative. But I still continued to be interested in alternative techniques. And so I got involved, particularly for my own. That was a stressful time. It was, I had kids in school, my husband was very busy. I was working and doing my doctoral degree at the same time. And I remember one day while I was driving, the kids were in the car, and there had been some argument of some kind at home in the morning, and then I suddenly became aware of this voice in my head, right? That was chattering nonstop. I don't know how many of you that are listening can relate to that, but there is so much conversation, sometimes meaningless conversation, sometimes really hurtful, harmful conversation that goes on in your head, often about yourself.
Oh,
You're
yes, we
not
do
good.
it to
Why did
ourselves.
Yeah, why did you do that? You're such a bad person. What will they think of you? And when you become aware of that conversation, as I did, I just, in my head, I said, can you please shut up? I just want to feel silence in my head.
Too much chatter.
Yeah,
Mhm.
and that is when I began to, even though, yeah, I grew up in India, I didn't grow up doing yoga and meditation, as many people think a lot of us do. We don't. So I delved into meditation when I felt that need of really being able to find peace in my own way. And that led to testing out multiple types of meditation and then finally coming up with my own way of meditating. Uh,
Mhm.
and that led to this book that I have called More Than Peace, Power and Presence Through Meditation. Along with that, along with learning about meditation, one of the things that became clear when you pay attention to the chatter in your head is that how much of ourselves we hate, right? A
Wow.
lot of the time when we get triggered by other people, it is because they trigger something in us
Exactly.
that we
Mhm.
judge about ourselves. So when we see it in somebody else, we feel triggered because we are already judging ourselves about it, and so we begin to judge them. So
I totally agree.
the whole purpose of this book and the meditations that are described in there is to be able to help you to hold all of you, the bitch, the person who's jealous, the person who is aggressive, the person who, all of those parts of us, the person who's grieving,
Mhm.
um, the person who feels guilty and ashamed. There are so many parts of us that we would rather not acknowledge and we would rather push them down. Instead, if we are able to allow all of them to exist and look at them with an open heart and say, I see you, I acknowledge you, I honor you, and it's okay to be exactly who you are right now. When we are
Mhm.
able to do that, our energy that is scattered and is so involved in pushing down these other parts of us gets integrated. We become much more present in ourselves. That's why I say more than peace, power, and presence through meditation. And this is done through meditation. And I also got trained as an emotional freedom technique practitioner. And that is an
Mm,
extremely good way to go to these events about ourselves that we judge.
okay. All right. That's so inspiring.
And we are able to stop judging ourselves. Like the setup statement for EFT is, even though this is true, I still fully and completely love and accept myself.
Accept myself.
Yeah,
Mhm.
and that is where we are trying to get to. Why
Okay.
is that? Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So, how do you think that contributes to our overall health and well-being, the meditation and the EFT techniques?
There are a few ways in which it contributes to our health and well-being. First of all, when we are agitated, or when we are, one of the amazing or crazy things about our brain is that because of evolution, we are constantly taught, we've been trained evolutionarily to scan the environment for danger, right? So
Yes.
it is much easier for us to hone in on something that is unpleasant or negative than it is for us to see something positive. So it might be a look from a colleague or a partner, or it might be that your kid didn't respond to a text, or it might be whatever it is. We can just think. Now, the thing is, evolutionarily, it was important for us to learn how to survive, right? So it was important in that sense to see, are there predators around? Is there any danger around? That was important to do. But what has happened now is that most of us are in spaces where we don't have predators.
Sure.
But just by thinking something negative, we are able to set off that survival instinct in us, right?
Mm,
So we get into this fight, flight, freeze mode depending on the level of danger. And I stopped when I said, we are not living with predators, because
predators.
I also want to acknowledge that some of us are exposed to predators in the form of abusers, and all of that, and I'm not negating any of that. So there are
Certainly.
some instances in which that survival instinct is really important,
It's still present. Mhm.
but a lot of the time, for many of us, we are triggered by a news story, or by a friend who didn't respond the right way, or by our own judgment of ourselves about how we didn't behave in the way we should have behaved. And so this entire system, the survival system, gets activated. And the difference between humans and animals is that when an animal is activated, after some time, after the danger is over, they go and they actually shake off that response, and then they're able to go and graze by themselves. So
That's
you'll
very powerful.
but we are not able to do that.
Yeah,
We
we don't know how
we
to do it. We've
Yeah,
never been taught that.
yeah, we still remain, a lot of us, in this hypervigilant state, which activates a bunch of physiological responses in us, triggers, turns on genes that are not good for us. So if we are in a constant state of hypervigilance, that is not good for our health.
Wow.
So how does meditation and EFT help? It helps us to tamp down the fight, flight, freeze response, and go into activate our parasympathetic system, which then opens us up to intuition, and it releases that stress.
Mm,
The,
okay.
so that is how it helps. Now, the one of the ways in which this manifests, right? So we are talking a lot of like a lot of the audience, maybe entrepreneurs, maybe women who are seeking to step up and live their dream life and do, and so they're like me, they know in their heart that there is something that they want to contribute. They know that they have a bigger mission in life, and they're trying. They start. They maybe get a coaching certificate. They get, or they write a book, or they do a course about writing a book, or they. We try so many different things in which to fully blossom into the people that we know at some level that we are meant to be.
Yes.
But when we have stories, the one of the things also to remember is that almost 95% of our actions, our decisions, our reactions, how we appear in the world is coming from our subconscious mind.
Yes,
And
totally agree.
a lot of that subconscious mind gets filled in with stories and what are really lies between the ages of 0 and 7. Like between 0 and 2, we are completely in what's called a really slow brainwave patterns. And so we have no discernment. So anything that happens is just absorbed. And that it just begins, we begin to develop some discernment towards after 7. So there are lots of these things about you'll never be good enough. You're not as good as your brother, or or societally, girls are not supposed to do this, or you shouldn't be, you should only be seen, you shouldn't be heard. And so there are all of these things that a part of us, the young little child in us, believes is true. So
Yes,
when we
yes,
step up to do something bigger, all of this rushes out, right? And we are not even aware of it because we are not aware of how the subconscious mind behaves. So meditation and EFT are very good tools to be able to get to a place where you're able to uh, really go in and figure out what is it that is happening. Why am I? So I'll give you an example. I had a client um, who is a publisher, actually, who helps people publish their books.
okay,
And for she just couldn't raise her prices. She was actually running her business at a loss, right?
okay,
And so she came in to we had a session, and I the way I work is I say, okay, let's get you, imagine you standing in front of a client and saying this is your price, so higher than what she is offering now, right? So she says it, and then I say, so where is the discomfort in your body? and
okay,
and then we hone in on the discomfort, and then I say, when do you remember first feeling this? Inevitably what comes up is what is ready to be healed. What Where she went to was her crib.
or
she
what?
Her crib, like when she was a baby in the crib,
Okay,
she remembered that it was dangerous for her to cry because she got hurt. So if you're a baby and you are hurt when you ask for something that you need, let alone what you want, that lesson is really deep inside you, that it is not safe to ask for what I need. Forget what I want.
exactly.
And so we use tapping and visualization to remove the power of that story.
I think a lot of people find that fascinating, especially those who struggle with emotional and physical blocks.
Yeah.
You know what? I have to say, I watched one of your videos, and this could be a long time ago. And one of those videos is where you gave a demonstration of you roaring like a
Yeah.
lion. It was such a powerful way to challenge those old messages that we've been told or that we're telling ourselves, being seen and not heard. Can you talk about why breaking free from those old messages are important?
It is important because that's what's holding you back. You have a gift to give. And if you have been suppressed, so that whole story about roaring like a lion was
Mhm.
when it was just 2 years ago. There's a Indian guru called Sadhguru, who is in Atlanta, and he has this program called Inner Engineering, which is all about meditation and breathing. And I was attending that, and at some point he told us a story about the lion who ate a bull, and the lion roared and he got shot. So but then he told us, roar like a lion. I want you all to stand up and roar like a lion. And almost all of us, including me, just all we had was a whimper, right? We were not
Mhm.
able to. And he said, this is so illustrative of how you're living your life. If
Wow.
you are not able to fully give yourself to this like really trivial exercise of being able to be fully present and roar, how are you expecting to be present in anything that you're doing in life? You're not fully present in your life. And so it took me, the fact that I was able to roar in that speech is how much I grew. And part of that lesson is I've been a coach for about 6 or 7 years now, but you're still always learning. You're always
Certainly. Oh,
you're,
yes.
you're always crossing thresholds. And for me, that being able to stand in front of a crowd and roar, whether I sounded like a lion or not, is not important. Right? But to be able to do that and then tell the people that, see, this is where I was,
Okay.
this is where I am now. And the reason we are not able to do that, be fully present, be fully who we are, is because we have been told, and this is, of course, particularly relevant for women, right? Because we have been told so often, don't be too loud, don't be too bold, don't be too aggressive. People will think you're a bitch. Don't protect yourself, don't stand up
Exactly.
for yourself.
Yes.
All of those things. And there's so much to overcome. And because a lot of those statements came to us when we were really little,
Ah, they still stick with us.
they
Yes.
still stick with us. They're in the subconscious mind. And so they get activated, and we don't even know sometimes what it is that we are feeling uneasy about, which is why when you say, so when I'm working with a client and I say, tell me when you first remember feeling this, because we've done the meditation, because we've done some tapping, the mind is open to going to where it needs to go in order to find what is ready to be healed. That's the magic of these techniques. And so one of the things that I want to invite people to here, right, is a masterclass that I know you've not asked me about it, but I'm just going to go there. Is
Certainly.
a master class called Activate Your Success Triggers. Why is that? It's on Saturday, the 11th of January between 3 and 5, and we'll share a link. But why did I decide to do that masterclass? I decided to do it because one of the most, and I'm talking right now to women entrepreneurs and people who are trying to do something new in their life, right? The reason to talk about activating your success triggers is that one of the most insidious fears that we have is that we are terrified of being successful, right? Because we are afraid, like we have stories, other stories in our mind about people like us don't do things like that.
Mm,
People worries about if you make too much money, or if you're in a relationship, and there are these stories which I grew up hearing, right, about if the woman is too powerful, it's going to damage the marriage. There were movies made about that, and
yes.
that
Yes.
stuck in my head. So then we sort of move a little forward and then we pull back. We move a little forward and then we pull back because we're terrified of what will happen if we fully let go and become fully successful.
Mm,
And so there are many stories that people will have about why it is not safe to be successful. And so what we're going to do in this 2-hour masterclass is to really investigate what are the different things that are stopping you from being who you need to be, who you want to be, who you dream of being, and using meditation and EFT to disempower those beliefs and let you step into this person that you were meant to be, that the world needs you to be, honestly, right now.
I
So,
love that. It's the techniques that you teach are such, a bold and unapologetic way to reclaim your voice and your presence. It's so wonderful. And I love how you work with women, especially women, to recognize the beliefs and the stories that they've inherited.
yes,
We still
yeah,
see it on TV. They're still making movies about it.
yeah, and particularly now, and it is so important for women to come and step into their power. We are seeing all over the world the problems with an uncontrolled, I'm going to go there, an uncontrolled patriarchy, right? There is a need to balance now. It is
Certainly.
not to push anything away, but there is a need for us to regain our power, to be able to stand up strong and tall and say, no, we deserve to be seen and heard and be successful and be powerful so that we can help uplift other people in the world. There is so much going on that needs change.
Oh, yes. Oh,
And
yes.
in order for that to happen, we need to step up. And in order for us to step up, we need to do this inner work.
Hmm. It's empowering to think about how much freedom comes from rewriting your story.
Yes.
Um, I want to talk about your book. Um, it's called One Word: Discover, Reflect, and Connect with Words That Transform Your Life. What inspired that collaboration? Because I know you wrote it with a few other authors.
Yeah, that was the inspiration was my friend. She's Sharita Cadenhead. She lives in Birmingham. She is a real estate investor, but who's also done not who's also done a bunch of other things like creating this book. So she invited me to be a part of the book because she'd seen my writing, and I
Okay.
actually have the first chapter in that book.
Oh, wow.
And the word is trust, right? The word that came to me was trust.
Okay.
And if you look at my cover picture, what is it called? The Facebook banner.
Book. Okay.
That is my definition of trust, which is letting go. Let me just bring that up because I sometimes mess up how I say it. Um, Letting go, resting back, relaxing into the flow of life, relaxing into the flow, knowing that life is always unfolding in your favor.
Oh, that's beautiful.
That is my definition of trust. It doesn't matter what is going on in your life, taking a breath, taking the next step, knowing that you are always held. You are always held. There is a force that is leading you to where you need to be. And when people like me appear in your life, one of the reasons we do is that that force is bringing you a way to work through these issues that you have so that you can become the powerful person that you are meant to be, because we need everyone to step into their power right now.
Certainly.
And so that's one of the, I think I have about 5 or 6 collaborative books. That was one of the first ones that I was involved in. It was a long time ago. It was in 2000, maybe 2016, maybe earlier than that.
Okay. Well, that's such a thoughtful project, and I can't wait to read it.
There a lot of very talented women spent a lot of time thinking about their word and contributing to that. And it's one of the writing projects that I love a lot.
You also work with women entrepreneurs to help them build six-figure businesses.
Yeah.
That's no small feat. Can you tell us more about your programs that you offer and how you support women in reaching that milestone.
So that is my focus now, right? Because I'm able to work with women's mindsets, and because we
Okay.
have a lot of women who are in this place where they are, coaches, part-time entrepreneurs, who are kind of barely making it, maybe making five figures, maybe they're part-time and they're working, and so they can't focus fully. All of us, we want to get to a place where money is no longer the object, right? So that we are able to live the life that we want, we are able to help the people that we want to help. So this program that I have is called the Six Figure Empowered Success Program. It is it guarantees that you will go to $250,000 in sales in 2 years or less. There's a lot of done for you activities that I do for you. So creating your intro, helping you to create your intromercial, we call it the iconic introduction. We help you with your project description. We help you identify your ideal client. We train you and we give you opportunities to present in various places. And the biggest thing about that I like about this program is that it is reverse guaranteed, right? So the payment is very closely linked to the results that you have. So it is not you pay me right up front, and then whether you get the results or not, I can just walk away with your money. That's not how this is designed. It is
Okay.
designed by saying that you only pay a quarter of the total amount in the beginning. When you hit 50,000, another quarter is due. When you hit the full 250,000 is when the full amount is due. So I'm with you throughout your growth. And once you hit the 250,000, of course, you're there and you know how to scale from there. I already have three people in my founder circle. I will I'm looking to have seven more people, so I want to grow that group to 10, and I'm really excited about it because it brings together both things. It brings together my mindset work, where I help you to overcome all of these blocks that you have. And I am being trained. I I am training myself, and I am building my own business, and I know how to hold your hand to take you through the various stages of how to actually create this business.
Okay,
So,
well, definitely I'm going to put your link inside of the chat and inside of the description. And if there's any women entrepreneurs that want to take their business to the next level, definitely check out her program
yeah.
because she's definitely with you every step of the way to support you in reaching that milestone.
Yes, and I can send you a link if you want. You can set up a strategy call with me where I'll take you through exactly what the program does. It's an hour-long call, and I will make sure that I put that in the Facebook group, in the chat.
Awesome, awesome. So before we wrap up, I just wanted to thank you, Sri, for being such a powerful force for women entrepreneurs, and helping them create lives of abundance and purpose. Once again, her upcoming event is called Activate Your Success Triggers, and it's on January the 11th from 3 to 5 p.m. Eastern. Okay. It's been such a wonderful and fantastic conversation with you, Sri. Thank you for sharing your experience and for showing us just how to break free and to step into our power. Before we go, can you give us your web address and how we can contact you?
Yeah, web address is freeingourselves.com is my website. And if you need me to, I can give you a link. And I'll also put in, that's my web address. I'll also put in the Calendly link to book a strategy call. Just one second.
Okay.
Should have had that.
I
Ready?
will.
1 second.
Okay, so it's freeingourselves.com.
Yeah.
Okay,
The idea is to
wonderful.
free ourselves from everything that is holding us back.
Love it. Love it. Love it. So thank you so much for joining us today. And to everyone listening or watching us live, if you're ready to free yourself and step into the next chapter, don't wait. Start today. Be sure to subscribe, share this episode, and tune in for the next time for more conversations that will inspire you to take action. Take care, and we'll see you soon.